As the end of the longest ever government shutdown nears, the Democrats and their allies in the media are doing a post-mortem on why the party is in such disarray. The drawn-out government shutdown was a complete failure for the Democrats, even turning their biggest allies against them. CNN's Scott Jennings blasted the Democrats, saying the shutdown exposed the complete and utter failure of Obamacare.
One thing that came out of this entire fight is that the healthcare system in this country has been, Obamacare, has been exposed as a complete and utter failure. We all know it now. Everybody admits it. The other thing that came out is that Democrats are willing to make people suffer. And you heard Democrat after Democrat today say, well, we just couldn't prolong the suffering. So they admit that their political tactics were designed to inflict suffering on the American people. We also learned about cynical politics in this. But the overall issue of health care is going to have to be dealt with because the system has failed. Everyone, I think it's bipartisan now, admits it. But I'm not sure that having Mike Johnson commit to giving billions of dollars to insurance companies for insurance that's not getting any better, it feels like it's getting worse to the American people, is going to make a difference. I could see Democrats and Republicans coming together to discuss that, like if we're going to spend this amount of money, should we be just giving it to insurance companies or should we be doing something else with it that would actually have a chance of making it feel like you could get seen by a doctor and get a better health outcome? But what we're doing now, writing checks to health insurance companies, is not getting us any better outcomes.
Jennings doubled down, calling Obamacare a money laundering scheme.
But I'll tell you one thing this has exposed, though, the complete and total failure of Obamacare. I mean, it's not affordable. No, you know, people that have it don't feel like it even is real insurance. And now we see, I mean, it's a mess. And if anytime the government's having to subsidize something like this, it's not working in the first place. And so I think the American people are realizing just how messed up the American healthcare system is. And the regime under which we live is Obamacare. But look, I think a lot of Republicans do not want people to see skyrocketing premiums. And so we'll see what that debate looks like. This whole thing has exposed this outlandish money laundering scheme where your tax dollars go right into insurance companies and your health insurance never gets better, your health care never gets better, your health outcomes never get better. That's what we have exposed here. So what our responsibility is as a Republican Party, how do we stop getting your tax money to insurance companies and how do we put more actual money into the health care of the American people? Because I can assure you, writing a bunch of checks to insurance companies doesn't make your health care any better.
And conservative commentator Glenn Beck further explained the farce.
I don't know why people aren't saying this subsidy is not going to the people. You're not keeping this money. It's not like you're getting a check and you're keeping it. You're getting a check from the government for the subsidy, and it's going directly to the insurance companies. And I just find that I find that amazing that that's what the Democrats are fighting for. More money to the insurance companies. Oh, okay. All right. That's kind of a different look at it. And it's still, I mean, I thought it was for, the poor people.
Right.
No, it's for the insurance companies.
This doctor went on to expose the rort.
Why do our health insurance costs go up every year? Can't we get 1 year where it's steady or God forbid they go down? And the reason for that is it was designed that way. There's something called in the Affordable Care Act called the medical loss ratio. The medical loss ratio means that insurance companies must spend between 80 to 85% of all premium dollars on medical services. That means they're limited to 15 to 20% for administrative overhead and profit. So that means that they play a little game. The higher the top line is, the bigger that number is. So now all we did was say, let's charge more each year. If you look each year, the insurance companies' revenues go up every year. The second thing they did to get around that was they started vertically integrating. What's vertical integration? That's when you start buying companies that are not insurance companies, but in similar businesses. So they started buying pharmacy benefit managers, which are middlemen for the drug companies. They started buying pharmacies. They started buying physician services and physician groups. So why is that important? Well, think about this. I'm the insurance company. I want to make it look on paper like I'm making my medical loss ratio, because if I don't, I'm going to have to pay a rebate. made. So what I do is I have my physician over here who's owned, and I overpay him, but he's owned. So when I overpay him, all I'm doing is I'm showing I have an expense here, but it goes back in my other pocket. Same thing for drugs. I can take a $50 drug, I can pay $200 for it. Now I've just gotten around the medical loss ratio because somehow the government can't figure out how to trace that dollar beyond the insurance. So that's how they get around it, and this is why our insurance premiums go up every year, and they're going to keep going up until we change the system.
But not everyone agreed, with Ana Navarro trying to deflect the issue and blame the Republicans.
Going to hear horrible stories. People are not going to be able to afford their insurance. I don't think even with subsidies they're going to be able to afford the premiums that are hiking up 100, 200, 300%.
Wasn't Obamacare supposed to fix that?
When people, no, well, not without the universal. I mean, there's
Affordable Care Act.
Yeah,
Affordable was the
listen,
first word.
The Republicans have been chipping away at the ACA, and I think this is going to be the death of the ACA, but it's also going to be the death of some Americans who don't go get screenings, who don't get diagnosed early enough in order to get treatment, who go in and instead of being stage 1 cancer are going to be stage 4 cancer. And we're going to hear horrible stories because Americans are going to choose to drop health insurance that they cannot afford. And we as a country have got to figure this issue out.
Donald Trump is not having it. The president announced that he's working on a plan to circumvent the insurance companies to put money into the hands of those who need it.
I hope that we're going to be able to have a health care where Lindsay and I were discussing it, Jim and I were discussing it, and Katie, we discussed it. We want a health care system where we pay the money to the people instead of the insurance companies. And I tell you, we're going to be working on that very hard over the next short period of time, where the people get the money. We're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars where the people get the money. Yes, please.
As well as exposing the farce that is Obamacare, the government shutdown exposed the attitude of Democrats to prioritize the needs of their own party over the needs of the most vulnerable Americans, explained Senator Durbin.
Many of my friends are unhappy. They think we should have kept our government closed indefinitely to protest the policies of the Trump administration. I share their opinions of this administration, but cannot accept a strategy which wages political battle at the expense of my neighbor's paycheck or the food for his children. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
And in another shocking twist, it has today been revealed by Fox News that Chuck Schumer had the opportunity to reopen the government 14 days into the shutdown, but forced the Democrat moderates not to do so, threatening that he would stand against them if they sided with the Republicans.
A group of moderates came to Chuck Schumer 2 weeks into the shutdown, 2 weeks in, and said, we're ready to reopen the government. And he said, no, hold out. Wow. No, hold out. Mid-October, he said to his entire caucus that if anyone tried to reopen the government, he would stand against them. That's according to sources that told Axios. So shame on Chuck Schumer. I know he's gotten the rap as the moderate, being beholden to the far left. No, he caused the pain. He pushed the pain through, along with Hakeem Jeffries. And it's quite sad to see the radical left take over that.
This commentator slammed Schumer, saying this shutdown dragged on because Schumer prioritized scoring points on healthcare subsidies over getting folks back to work. Classic DC gamesmanship. Credit to those 8 moderate Dems who broke ranks to end it. Maybe there's hope for bipartisanship yet. Shame the pain was prolonged for leverage. And it seems Chuck Schumer's days are numbered, with even the very progressive ladies of The View calling for his resignation.
The Democrats went into this after a blue wave out of the American people saying, we do want the opposition. We the working people want the Democratic Party to fight for them. And now they just caved and surrendered. I think Chuck Schumer, his days are over. If he cannot keep his caucus together, he needs to go. He needs to be replaced.
I completely disagree with you, Sonny, for this reason, what you rattled off. The Republicans run the executive branch,